Rotarians and guests, welcome to my favorite Rotary Club in the whole world, the Rotary Club of York. I am your president, Aaron Jacobs. And who can tell me what is special about today? The mic is off, so I will yell at you. It's also a great day to be a Rotarian. But today is especially a great day to be a York Rotarian because we will have a near historic day with new member inductions. More on that later, but for now, let me proclaim service above self, and together we can recite our four-way test without a microphone. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? I love that we recite the four-way test so that we know it by heart, much like we would know the Pledge of Allegiance. And speaking of the Pledge of Allegiance, Jack Dyson will lead the pledge right after the opening song, America the Beautiful, followed by the invocation from Kelly Gibson and visitor introductions by JT Han. Jack. Jack. Is it on?
No. Is this on? Nope.
Check, check. Check, check. Just yell.
Spotted. I'm going to hold it out so everybody else can sing into it, okay? Here we go. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nope. No? Okay. I'll try my best. Please prepare yourself for prayer in the manner in which you are accustomed. Since early Neolithic times, farming and tending of the land and animals has been considered a religious act. Our earliest religions around the world were based on fertility and the changing of the seasons. Religious practices dictate what people around the world grow and consume. Christianity forbids meat, excepting fish, during certain holy seasons to honor God. Judaism and Islam both ban pork. Likewise, Rastas ban meat, seasonings, and alcohol so as to honor God's intentions. Hindus promote vegetarianism. Even today, millions of farmers across the world in a recent study cited that their yields are God's will. In Hebrews verse 6, it reads, especially accurate today, land that drinks in the rain, often falling on it, and that produces a crop useful for those for whom it is farmed, receives the blessing of God. There were many in our community that offered up their prayers when they heard the news of the tragic fire at the Horn Farm Center. Today, as we hear about their recovery and work to rebuild from Alexis Campbell, let us give thanks to all of those who lent their hands and resources to make it possible. Let us also give thanks to the many hands that grew and prepared the food we enjoy in fellowship. All this we pray. Amen.
I am pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. So for our guests, when I call your name, if you would please stand and remain standing until President Aaron has welcomed you. We're going to start with Garth Barkley, guest of past District Governor Ben Hoover. Tamara Snead, guest of Jeff Vermeulen. Lydia Jones, guest of Jen May. John Henry Newman, a guest of Steve Feldman. Kristen Ventry, who is a guest of Ted Ventry. Guests of Alexis Campbell are Lauren Heyman and David Dietz. Dave Yates is a guest of John Yates. Guests of Jules Tolbert are Kelly Dearman and Patty McGuire. And guest of Kim Alvarez is Deb Best. President Aaron.
All right. I've been saying all year that guests are so important to our club because it's the pipeline for new members, and you're going to see exactly what I mean today in just a few moments. Guests, we are happy to have you with us today to share in our fellowship, food, and the program, and I can promise you that you picked today of all days to attend because it's a great day. But here's the scoop. Every program we have at our club is at least just as great as the experience, but you have a unique opportunity that I'm going to talk about later today for a bragging right. So, more on that later. For now, Rotarians, please help me welcome our guests. I'm going to go on to announcements here. Could we advance the slides while you work on the audio issue? Thank you. There we go. Back it up. First and foremost, before I get to what's on the slide, I want to offer condolences to our Rotarians, Jess Eichenrau and Debbie Ashway. Jess's wife, who's also Debbie's mother, passed away Monday evening. So please keep their family in your prayers. In terms of committee announcements, the Service Above Self Committee will meet following this meeting today, 1:30 in the terrace room. The PPE Committee will meet on April 10th. That's next Wednesday at 8 o'clock via Zoom. And on April 20th, the Preserve Planet Earth Committee is planting 25 trees in York City starting at 8 p.m. Al Sykes, past President Al, would you raise your hand? If you'd like to volunteer, please see Al. It's going to be another great day. Speaking of PPE work, would you please advance the slide? In case you haven't noticed the weather lately, is it moving? Whatever, they can figure this out. It's been raining. And we were trying to do Continental Square this Thursday with Friday as the rain date. But here's the thing. It's going to be muddy. And mud is not good for plants, it's not good for the project, and it's not good for the volunteers. So we are rescheduling the Continental Square project for next Thursday, April 11th at 8 a.m. I'm going to say that again. Do not show up to Continental Square expecting a project to happen this Thursday. It's next Thursday, 8 a.m. to get it done. We have some volunteers that can't make it, so if this date now works for you, see Joe Stein. Joe, raise your hand. He's the second most handsome Rotarian in the room. Why is that funny? He also will have parking passes for volunteers, so you can park at City Hall and not worried about getting in any trouble. In addition to that, I invite Rotarians to show up at 9:30, not to volunteer, but to cheer on the volunteers who are doing the project and also join us in a photo opportunity for what we hope will be a historic moment for downtown York. On to the next announcement in USA Today. They have named a CPA and advisory firm that we all know and love. It's RKL to the list of America's most recommended tax firms. Yeah. RKL is the only Pennsylvania-based firm to rank among USA Today's nationwide top 100 list. Congratulations to our member Rotarians who are RKL employees or retirees. That would be Doug Berman, Amy Anstein, Don Dellinger, and David Marias. Speaking of accolades, there's more good news for our members. The club congratulates 2 members who will be honored tomorrow evening at the York County Economic Alliance's Showcasing YOCO event. Past President Jackie Summers, raise your hand, and will receive the Athena Award. And Tony Campisi, I saw Tony. Where are you, Tony? Tony's right back there. Will be receiving the Business Achievement Award. I'm sure they're going to get plenty of applause tomorrow, but it wouldn't hurt if we gave them a little today. And now I'd like to invite Eric Menzer to the podium to make an announcement. Eric.
All right, good afternoon. So I was thinking in preparation for this, what can I do to put President Aaron on the spot without endangering anyone else by tossing anything from the podium? So I decided to give President Aaron what I'm calling my self-serving trivia quiz. So President Aaron, here we go. Number 1, how many games did the Revs win last year in their second best season in team history?
700.
Well, that was close. That was close. 71. Last year, we were 71-54 overall. Yeah. Well, there's more room for that in a minute. We had a 568 winning percentage last year. Aaron, here's number 2. What was the percentage increase in attendance at Revs games in 2023?
A lot.
It was a lot. In fact, it was 25%, the largest in all of Partner League baseball, ranking us number 6 out of 26 Partner League teams nationally in attendance. All right, here we go. How many pixels are there on the spectacular brand new video board at Wellspan Park that Rotarians can see for themselves if they come to the preseason meeting?
A lot. More than 700 and less than 3 billion.
There you go. The answer is 625,600. You were close. And last but not least, how many blades of grass are there on the brand new Kentucky Bluegrass field at Wellspan Park? Well, I don't know because I don't know the answer either. But there you go. But if any of you really want to come count for yourself, you can do that on April 17th when we have our annual preseason meeting with the Revs at Wellspan Park. We'll be joined again by Atlantic League President Rick White and Revs manager Rick Forney introducing this year's team. Now, remember, you have to pre-register both yourselves and your guests. You can use the QR code on your table or you can use the link in the announcer. And the deadline to register is April 10th. That's next Wednesday, April 10th. So even though I'm quite shy and very nervous speaking in front of people, I look forward to hosting you all here. And I really hope you'll join us for that meeting again, April 17th, 2 weeks from today at Wellspan Park. And then, of course, opening night on April 25th. Thanks.
Thank you, Eric. I'm sure we can all agree that's something we all look forward to every year. And now I'd like to call past President Dave Meckley, chair of the nominating committee, to restate the nominations from the podium with me that were placed on the ballot on March 27th, and were duly seconded. And further, you may recall that nominations were closed at the meeting.
Thank you, Aaron. First, I'd like to thank the members of the nominating committee, Michael Black, Denny Bachman, Jen May, Glenn Miller, Joyce Santiago, Brian Tate, Jules Tolbert, and Cal Weary. On behalf of the Board of Directors, as recommended by the nominating committee, we've placed the following individuals in nomination for officers to serve the Rotary Club for the 24-25 year. And if you're here, if you can stand, Courtney Piccolo, President, Wilda Lessie, President-elect, Doug Berman, President-elect nominee, and BJ Fegley, Financial Vice President. I move as that President Aaron cast a unanimous ballot electing our slate.
So
Thank you.
cast.
Thank you. Also, as recommended by the nominating committee, the Board of Directors has placed the following individual in nomination to serve a first 2-year term on the Board of Directors for the Rotary Club year 24 to 26. Eric Chase. Eric, are you here today?
Here.
Thank you, Eric. Further, as recommended by the nominating committee, the Board of Directors has placed the following individuals in nomination to serve a second 2-year term on the Board of Directors for the 24 to 26 Rotary years. And if you're here, you can stand as well. Dee Baker, Jen May, Jules Tolbert. Thank you. And these individuals will serve along with Elaine Bonneau, Kelly Gibson, Cal Weary, and Bill Hartman. I move that President Aaron cast a unanimous ballot electing our slate.
So cast. Thank you, past President Dave. Can you hear me now? Congratulations to those who have been called and elected to serve our fine club. It truly is a unique and enjoyable opportunity, and I feel that our club is blessed to have such a diverse group of leaders to keep moving us to great things in the future. Thank you for your service and for being an outstanding true Rotarian. Let's give them one more round of applause. So, Courtney, now you've been elected, I invite you to the podium to speak on an unrelated topic about yard signs. President-elect Courtney.
Thank you, President Aaron. Hello, everyone. So the Communications Committee has put together a Rotary yard sign campaign. And you might be asking yourself, what is a Rotary yard sign campaign? So I have 2 models that I brought in especially for this today that are going to stand up and going to show you what our great Rotary yard signs are. Thank you, Gina and Andy. Trying to advance to the next slide. There we go. Ooh, going too fast now. So starting next week, these yard signs are going to be available for you to take home. We'll be downstairs standing there that you can take them with you. You can place this at your home or your business. And you might be asking, why are we giving out Rotary yard signs? Well, we're trying to educate people on who we are. We're trying to allow current members to showcase their Rotary pride, and we're trying to entice others in the community on who we are and who wants to learn more about Rotary and our club specifically. And we would also love if you would be willing to take one next week and not only place it in your business or your yard, if you would be willing to also post about it on social media, snap a fun photo, help us create some buzz online. And again, this can be placed not only in your yard, or it could be at your yard of your business. So if you're sitting here thinking, oh, I really don't have a place that I could put this at my house because I live in the middle of nowhere, nobody would see this. If you happen to have 600,000 blades of grass at your disposal and you have a business like Wellspan Park and could put it behind home plate maybe for the Revs opening game, that would be a great spot too. So, these signs will be available next week to you. So be on the lookout as you're leaving and you're putting your name tags back next week. Downstairs, we'll hand them out and you can pick them up then. So thank you guys very much.
I'm constantly impressed with how innovative our club is in trying to do all of its business, especially when it comes to new members. And I think this is the kind of innovation our club needs to do, not just for ourselves, but for our district to kind of set those best practices so that we can do good as a district. So congratulations to the Communications Committee for what I think is a great idea. Please grab a sign. Wouldn't it be great to drive around and see our signs everywhere? The answer is yes. Thank you. Speaking of great, and speaking of marching to 300, I would like to invite Phil Woods to the podium for a great day in Rotary. Phil.
If I could have all the new members join us, Aaron, they're going to stand right there. Move. So typically, past President Josh George has the opportunity to induct new members, and it's only fitting that I have to pinch hit for him today. As we induct 9 new members, we actually have 10. One could not make it. An urgent need came up, but it's fitting that he's not here because we're getting back to a number more representative of what our club total was prior to his presidency. Al, I hope I do you proud up here. So first, we're going to be up here for a little bit. Please hold your applause till the end of each member's bio. First, I'm going to introduce Amy Billinger. Amy is proposed by Doug Berman. Amy is Chief Executive Officer at Shadowfax, a graduate of Penn State University, earning a BS in Business and a Master in Health Administration and Certification in Long-Term Care Administration and Policy. That will not fit on your new name tag. Amy is a current board member of the York Benevolent Association and has volunteered at the YWCA Race Against Racism, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and the American Cancer Society. Amy enjoys trying new things, and her new hobbies include, they do change over time, currently include yoga, road cycling, and gardening. The weather's going to help that gardening effort. Amy admits she attended 3 meetings, which she felt was the magic number to become a Rotarian. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please help me welcome Amy Billinger. It's like a rain theme here. Next, we have Letice Brown, proposed by President Aaron Jacobs. Letice is an MS4 coordinator at the City of York. If you've not uncovered or cleaned your drains, please do so. Also a graduate of Penn State University, earning a BS in Geography, and a graduate of University of Phoenix, where she earned a master's degree in Admin of Justice and Security. Letice is a current board member of the Watershed Alliance of York, Keep York Beautiful, Preserve Planet Earth, and is an American Red Cross Recovery Supervisor for York County. We'll see you, I'm sure, on the square. Letice enjoys traveling, cooking, music, modeling, jewelry, and reading. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please help me welcome Letice Brown. We're at 3. I'd like to introduce Ricky Gray, proposed by Todd Ventry. Ricky is an Assistant Vice President and Business Banker at First National Bank, graduate of Western Governors University, earning a BS in Business Management. Richard is, much to my liking, a T-ball coach for Northeastern Little League. He serves on FMB's Diversity and Inclusion Committee and volunteers for the United Way and Toys for Tots. Ricky is active on a men's basketball team and a men's baseball team locally, and enjoys collecting, I'll say, retro video games, old video games, and sports cards. Ricky enjoys traveling and spending time with his spouse, Samantha, and child, Scarlett. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please help me welcome Ricky Gray. This might be the only time I can tell her what to do. Go on the other side. I'd like to welcome Natalie Gunderson, proposed by Jackie Summers. Natalie is now President and CEO of York County Community Foundation, a graduate of York College of Pennsylvania, earning a BA in Marketing and Masters of Business Administration. Natalie serves on the YCP Board of Trustees and has served previously on boards for the United Way, Appel Center for the Performing Arts, and Logos Academy. Natalie enjoys CrossFit workouts and coaching, bike riding, hiking, and cooking. There have been an abundance of baked goods in our office now, and we wondered where they were coming from. It was easy to quickly understand where. And she, of course, loves spending time with her husband, Reed, and her daughter, Viviana. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please help me welcome my new boss, Natalie Gunderson. Next. This is awesome. Next, I'd like to introduce Jason McSherry, proposed by Martin Fedorko. Jason is president and CEO of now York Literacy Institute, a graduate of Shippensburg University, go Raiders, earning a BA in Communications and Journalism and a Master of Science in Communication Studies. Jason served on the York County Literacy Council Board of Directors and the Development Committee, was president of Spring and Sperry Sertoma Club, and on the marketing committee for Resource York. Jason is a sports fan, specifically the Baltimore Orioles and the Miami Dolphins, and he enjoys running and collecting antiques. Some of those antiques might be World Series memorabilia from the O's in 1983. It's been that long. They beat my Phillies that year, so I had to poke fun. Jason's married to spouse Mindy McSherry. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please help me welcome Jason McSherry. I'm not saying anything bad about Montez. He has security detail. I'd like to introduce Montez, proposed by Calvin Weary. Montez is owner of Parker International Security. He studied at the Community College of the Air Force while serving from 2011 to 2017. Thank you for your service. Studied criminal justice at Lincoln University and is currently completing and will earn a BS in cybersecurity technologies from the University of Maryland. Montez serves on the board of directors for York County History Center, Positive Energy Arts, and Bro to Go. He enjoys reading books, watching documentaries, and smoking ribs on the grill. Montez is married to Brittany Smith and parent to Alani, Montez III, and Miles Parker. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please help me welcome Montez Parker II. Next, I'd like to introduce Matthew Seiler, proposed also by President Aaron Jacobs. Matthew is president of Seiler and Associates, a graduate of Mansfield University, earning a BS in accounting. Matthew also served in the Air Force. Thank you. From 1996 until 2000, and looks forward to serving our community through Rotary membership. Matthew enjoys golfing and will hopefully put a foursome together for our Love for Community event. We'll hold you to that. Matthew is married to Heather Seiler and parent of Sydney and Brady. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please help me welcome Matthew Seiler. Come on up, Terry. Second to last, I'd like to introduce Terry Travers. Proposed by JT Han, Terry is the new CEO at the York Jewish Community Center, a graduate of Juniata College, earning a undergrad bachelor's in psychology, and is currently working toward a master in nonprofit management from Gratz College. Terry is a volunteer basketball coach at the Harrisburg JCC and a Girls on the Run coach and volunteer as well. As a guest of our club, Terry realized how much our club serves the community and how our club is full of community leaders. She wanted to be a member. And I think Aaron probably said you have to be at some point. Terry enjoys the porch coaching basketball, reading, working out, and spending time with husband John and their 3 dogs, to which I want to know their names.
Buck, Josie, and Dex.
Buck, Josie, and
Dex.
Dex. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please help me welcome Terry Travers. Lastly, I'd like to introduce Tanya Wheeler, proposed by Sarah White. Tanya is Chief Financial and Operations Officer at Red Lion Area School District, a graduate of University of Pittsburgh, that's the university on the west side of the state, earning a BS in Business Administration. Tanya serves on the board of directors for Wellspan York Health Foundation and York Adams Tax Collection, and is a member of the Penn State York Women's Philanthropic Network. She enjoys reading, cooking, and playing racket sports, another candidate for our Love for Community event. Most importantly, Tanya enjoys spending time with her husband, Mark, and children, Cameron and Cooper. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please help me welcome Tanya Wheeler. President Aaron.
Thanks, Bill. So I mentioned at the beginning of our program today that today's an especially great day to be a Rotarian, and inducting 9 new members in one day is certainly an all-time high for our club. And you know our club's doing something right when new member inductions take almost as long as the program and plays out like a high school graduation. I'm especially moved by the quality and diversity of these new members who I know will make our club even stronger. Congratulations on your membership. Get involved and let us all serve the community together. Congratulations again. So I mentioned at guest introductions that there could be a unique bragging opportunity for our visitors. I know you're going to ask me the question, and I have the answer. Eric Menzer, how many members does this club now have as of today? That's a very salesy answer. We always round up, but we're not there yet. We are at 296. We lost a couple members. It happens every so often. So we are 4 members away. That means we have grown so far more than 20 members in 1 year, which in my 15 years in this club has never happened. So to our visitors, even if your spouse is already a member, I'm looking at you, you can join, because we want to reach this before the end of the year. And I want to challenge our membership today to reach the 300 goal and bring 6 new members to our club, not by June, not by May, but by April. And I say 6 because I want to jump over the 300 mark. I don't care if they're your friends, your family, coworkers, clients, anyone you think of who could be a true community servant through the club. That's who we want to talk to. Let's make this happen so we can feel good about making this the best year ever. Can I get a hoorah? Can I get a hoorah? Hoorah! I warmed him up for you, Alexis. But first, I'd like to invite Michael Haiti to the podium to introduce the program. Michael.
Wow. Good afternoon. It's an honor for me to introduce today's program. For the last 20 years, the Horn Farm Center for Agricultural Education has been a source of nutritious food, farm-based learning, and creative placemaking within our community. In October of 2021, tragedy struck the Horn Farm Center when their historic farmhouse was hit by lightning and damaged by fire. Since then, the organization has been hard at work, recovering from its operations, reimagining its facilities, and continuing to carry out its mission, serving over 5,000 members each year. Today, Executive Director Alexis Campbell joins us to share the Horn Farms Center's exciting plans for preserving, restoring, and transforming the historic farmhouse building into a community gathering and learning center. Alexis Campbell is a York County transplant. She grew up in Berks County, just outside of Reading. Prior to serving as the executive director of the Horn Farm Center, Alexis was the associate director at the Berks History Center. She is a graduate of Penn State University, and she trained in permaculture and commercial urban agriculture. Alexis is Master Watershed Steward, a fellow of the Center for Progressive Leadership, and a member of course, of our Rotary Club and the Junior League of York. Please welcome Alexis to the podium today.
Thank you so much. Well, fellow Rotarians, it's really an honor to be here today to talk to you about the Horn Farm Center and our farmhouse building project. But first of all, I want to say thank you. 2 years ago, when our farmhouse was struck by lightning and damaged by fire, many of you in this room stepped up to help. And when I say stepped up, I mean stepped up. The most ambitious, of course, was our very own president, Aaron Jacobs, along with PPE members JT Hand and Brian Funkhauser, who took it upon themselves to help us mill several timbers that were donated to the Horn Farm Center by the York Water Company after the fire. Now, these timbers, mind you, weighed several tons, and the milling process was a real dirty job. The lumber is now curing at the farm, and some of it will be used in our reconstruction. Thanks to the York Water Company for donating the materials and the equipment and the transportation. And, you know, why am I showing you this? And it's not just because I think that maybe we have some photos here that can be used in next year's Men of the Country, the Men of the club calendar, but I think I had this really good joke and I kind of didn't quite land, but I really do think we should have a calendar. Think about it. This is just one example of how generous our club is. These are the companies and organizations, people in this room who after the fire stepped up to help us. And one of our darkest moments at the fire, we felt really incredibly supported by this community. And for that, I am eternally grateful. And I'm humbled by the generosity of this club. So thank you to those of you who donated, and a special thanks to the Rotary Charitable Endowment Fund for matching those donations to support the Horn Farm Center. So to share about the farmhouse, I also have to share a little bit about our story of the Horn Farm. This is probably one of the craziest photos. Bunch of smiling people standing in front of a building that was just ravaged by fire. But I really love this photo, and that's because it captures what I believe is really special about the Horn Farm. And for us, that is community. There are two themes that are really prominent for us at the Horn Farm. And the first is the love of nature. It started back in 1999 when thousands of York County residents rallied together to save the Horn Farm from industrial development. That effort was successful, and that's actually our founding story. After about 5 years of tireless effort by our community, the Horn Farm Center for Agriculture Education was incorporated as a 501c3 in 2004. Today, we operate the 186-acre farm, which is owned by the County of York. In addition to being a working farm that supports 6 farm businesses, we provide land-based educational programs, community events, training programs, community gardens, and locally grown food. This love for the land and the desire to protect it really is, something that started over 20 years ago, and it has evolved to the work that we do today on the land to steward it regeneratively and also provide meaningful experiences in the outdoors. We serve over 5,000 visitors each year, and our goal is to inspire people to fall in love with nature. The other theme that's really prominent for us is resilience. Resilience in community, resilience in relationships. This organization was founded by our community and run by volunteers for many years. And today we have 7 paid staff, and we engage over 300 volunteers every year. The farm has undergone flood, fire, and even thieves, yet the farm still stands as a symbol of York County's proud heritage in farming. So that resilience, that passion, that courage to do what's right, that's also the story behind this project. And it really is amazing what can be accomplished when people come together to do something that they're passionate about. So that brings us to 2021 when we had our fire. It was an exciting and challenging year for us. We were just coming out of COVID, trying to recover our operations, recover our programming, which had all but stopped in the previous year. And it was around 9 o'clock at night that we received the call about the fire. And when we arrived on site, this was the scene. The fire was nearly under control thanks to about 17 fire companies and first responders from around our region who were able to get the fire under control. And later we learned that the cause of the fire was a lightning strike. The fire began on the roof and burned down through our attic to the floor of the second floor. And you can see that in the pictures here. The first floor was not touched by fire, but it did sustain some significant water damage, which you can see in that bottom right-hand corner picture there. We were able to recover our most valuable operational documents and files, as well as our archives. We focused immediately on recovering our operations. We worked with our insurance company to assess the damage. We restored internet and electricity to the campus. We were very fortunate. Kinsley Construction, right after the fire, donated a used work trailer that our team and our volunteers got to work very quickly renovating for our operations. And later we got another trailer that was donated by the Lancaster Conservancy. And then that has continued to sustain us in our operations. We also removed debris here's the interior of our little trailer that we've been working out of since the fire. And we removed debris from the building as well, and the interior has been mitigated. And we've also focused on protecting the building from weather and further damage. There is a low pitch roof on the building that's protecting it from any rain or anything like that. And we also, we're really concerned about the brick and had that covered and made sure there wasn't any damage there. This really was a devastating blow for us. We're still trying to recover, but since the fire, we've made do with limited facilities. Here's a picture of our staff working in our work trailers. Despite these challenges, we're proud to say that we have continued to carry out our mission. In 2022 to 2023, we continued to host all of our programming, even expanding some. In 2022, we trained 39 students in our training programs. On a very rainy day in May, we had over 300 customers come to our annual plant sale. We hosted our 18th annual Pawpaw Festival with over 2,300 visitors coming to the farm from up and down the East Coast. We engaged 336 volunteers, planted over 2,000 trees, and educated 816 students in classes and workshops. Again, that resiliency, that love for the land, all of these things were accomplished thanks to the support of our community. We also got to work on the design process to rebuild. So in May in 2022, we engaged the services of Murphy and Dintenhafer, Lewis Contractors, and Seven Group to help us reimagine and redesign the building. The design phase began in October of 2022, and we engaged in integrative design process, which means we tried to bring as much expertise to the table as possible for a holistic approach. We completed 50% design development with Lewis Contractors in February of 2023. And then we went through a value engineering process. And then we hired Quarryville Building Group to finish pre-construction through the end of the design phase. Much of 2023 was focused on finishing the design and the construction documents, which we completed at the end of last year. So at the time of the fire, we had just completed a new strategic plan. A big part of that plan recognized that we had a need for improved facilities. We had thought at the time it would be 5-10 years until we had a large capital project that we could undertake. But nature really did have other plans for us in this situation. And so we spent some time trying to figure out how to make this unfortunate event an opportunity to advance our strategic vision. And our goals for the farmhouse are really an extension of that strategic plan, and in some ways an opportunity to realize the goals of that plan. So the farmhouse itself was built in the 1840s. It was originally a residence, and it served as that for several decades until 2006, when the building was renovated as an office space for the organization. So that history has been really important to us. So that is our first goal of the rebuild, is that historic preservation and restoration. We believe that honoring the site is not only important to us and to the county, but we believe that this is also shared by the residents of our community, that we want to kind of maintain that historic aesthetic of our neighborhood. And our goal is to preserve and to restore the historic character of the building, primarily on the exterior. So here's a little peek at some of that work that we'll be doing.
one of those things is repointing the brick. Will be estimated anywhere from 50 to 90% of the brick will need to be repointed, although we're budgeting for about 100%. We'll be reconstructing the original chimneys. There are 2 on the building. Once we got into the building and we gutted it on the inside, we actually discovered there were 4 fireplaces on the interior of the building. And this one here in the picture is the hearth. So that will be restored and featured as a nice accent piece of the interior. We'll be replacing the roof with a new standing seam metal roof. And we'll also be doing pretty extensive work on the, what too far? Our windows. We'll be reconstructing the lintels, the sills, and the bullnose architectural moldings on all 26 windows. This was something that kind of came up in the process. As we got into the building, we realized there was really extensive damage to all that woodwork around the windows, so that will all need to be restored. So restoring the historic character of the building will really positively contribute to the aesthetic of our community. This rendering here is by Murphy and Dittenhafer, who put this together for us. And according to PennDOT, we have an average of 43,000 cars traveling along Route 30 annually, passing right by the farm. And so our goal is to create an attractive, welcoming facade to the Horn Farm Center as well as York County. And we also feel like this is a really exciting opportunity to care for the building for the first time in over 100 years. The farmhouse has always stood as an iconic symbol of the Horn Farm, and we believe it can once again when the project is completed. Our next goal was to improve capacity and accessibility. You can see in this picture here, before the fire, we never really had a space that could hold more than a dozen people or so. The floor plan was laid out specifically as a residence. And so when it was renovated to office spaces, we never really had that big space functionality. It was kind of sectioned off into smaller rooms. And you could see that stairwell was right in the center of the building that kind of cut it in half. So we were doing some structural engineering to kind of open up the space and increase the capacity of the building. So that staircase will be moving to the north corner of the building. And we'll have an open floor plan on the first floor. And this will be our classroom space. And so this will be the most, public facing space. We'll be able to teach classes and workshops throughout the year. Right now, a lot of our programming happens in the spring and the fall. Those are kind of the more tolerable months to be outside. So this will be an opportunity to expand the offerings that we have. There'll also be a small demonstration kitchen inside. So that'll be an opportunity to provide new programming that we're not providing right now. And also the opportunity to serve kids maybe for the first time in a long time. We have done children's programs in the past years, but we never really had the right facility for it. A nice space for them to be in, restrooms. So that's really exciting for us, the opportunity to really grow our impact in the community, as well as generate income for the farm. Oop, sorry. Second floor will be office spaces. Again, that open floor plan for collaboration, and then we'll have 2 auxiliary office spaces, as well as a staff restroom upstairs. And then we'll be doing some site improvements as well. On the exterior of the building, there'll be some accessible parking, accessible entryway. This will be the first time the building is actually brought up to code. And this space in the front here, we call this our outdoor classroom. If you've ever been to the farm, it's very loud. We're located right next to Route 30. So there's some functionality here, and that the building will kind of create a little bit of a barrier, a sound barrier. And this will be a gathering space where folks can gather before their classes, and then they go out into the field, into the woodlands to have their educational experiences. And our final goal was sustainability. As an educational organization focused on regenerative and sustainable practices on the land, we felt it was really important that our new facility could reflect those values and those practices that we have on the land. So a big focus of this was energy efficiency. And so our building envelope was designed to be highly energy efficient, meaning it's very well insulated. It has a higher than average R value. We also have plans for a solar array, thanks to some funding from the York County Community Foundation Sustainable Energy Fund. And we also planning for some Energy Star rated appliances, low flow toilets and fixtures inside. I think water is the other focus in addition to energy that we really honed in on. So we have some plans for capturing runoff from the roof as well as from the pavement areas. We also have plans for an additional auxiliary building, this secondary building here in the bottom right corner. We're calling this our composting toilet building. And this is a project that we had envisioned long before the fire. We had some donors that were interested in supporting our ability to increase the restroom facilities that we had at the farm using composting toilets, which is a no flush toilet. It's exactly what it sounds like. We're talking about composting human waste, which is a really nice sustainable practice and something we were excited about demonstrating to the community. And after the fire happened, we thought maybe this was something we can incorporate into the reconstruction, maybe as an addition to the building. But ultimately, we decided it would be best as an outbuilding. But that was included in our designs as well. So as you can imagine, retrofitting an 1800s farmhouse to be more functional and energy efficient isn't without its challenges. During the design process, we ran into a few things that we didn't expect. One was the building envelope. Old brick buildings are really meant to breathe. They're meant to have air moving through them. And that was something we ran up against as we were trying to get a really tight building envelope. And so we were really impressed with how Murphy and Dittenhafer kind of went to work, did a ton of research to try to figure out how do we have both of these things? How do we have this historic brick building and also a really well-insulated, energy efficient building? And ultimately what they came up with was kind of like a secondary interior wall. So there'll be an air chamber that is between the exterior wall and the interior wall that will help to move the air through and make sure that that brick is nice and dry and doesn't cause any issues for the building. Another challenge, another thing that we didn't really expect was the degree to which the whole project would really focus on restoration of the current structure. This building is over 100 years old. And it wasn't until we got into the building with subcontractors that we realized the extent of the brickwork that needed to be done, the woodwork around the windows that needed to be done. So that was a bit of a surprise. We also, I'm sure everyone's familiar just with the volatility in the construction market. That's something that we've contended with throughout this project and continue to contend with. And then the other is the timeline, that this project has really taken us a while, longer than we had anticipated, but has really taken some thoughtfulness, some planning, and some time for fundraising. So here's a snapshot of our budget. Our hard cost for construction is that first number there, a little over $1 million. And then the second number is our total cost for construction, including some of our softer costs, around $1.2 million. The total project cost there at the bottom includes our design work and a number of owner furnished expenses that we will incur during and after construction as well. We right now have about 2/3 of the project that is currently funded, and around 23%, 24% of that is insurance funds, 32% of that is grant support. A small percentage of that is individual contributions, as well as other income such as interest, in-kind donations, programmatic income. Ultimately, we have around a $450,000 gap that needs to be closed before we can cover the cost of construction. And we are also looking at phasing the project, trying to understand if we can complete the structural work and the exterior of the building while continuing to fundraise. Our primary goal is to complete construction as soon as possible. So we really know that this is an ambitious project for us. We are a small organization. Our operating annual budget is a little over $400,000 a year. And we know this is ambitious. We believe that this building this facility will last us for the next, 50 to 100 years. And that this isn't a short-sighted fix, and that this is really the responsible thing to do for our successors as well as our community. Beyond that, there's really significant benefit that rebuilding will have to advance our impact in our community, including expanding our programming capacity, our ability to serve our community, saving on overhead and generating more income for the farm, preserving our history and adding value to our community, and demonstrating that a sustainable building like this can be accomplished in York County, which means more opportunity to invite visitors from outside of our region. When I think back to the first 20 to 25 years of our story, I often think about the courage that it took the individuals in our community to stand up for what they believed in. It took several years, but ultimately they were successful in saving the Horn Farm. All of that hardship laid the groundwork for the incredible work that we do today at the farm to engage over 5,000 visitors in meaningful learning experiences on the land. We really stand on the shoulder of what I call giants, but honestly, they were just regular people who had a bigger vision for an overlooked farm on Route 30. And 20 years later, we continue to carry that torch, and we envision the Horn Farm as a hub for visitation to support a growing outdoor recreation economy in Eastern York County along the Susquehanna River corridor. Governor Shapiro just released a new plan for a growing outdoor recreation economy in Pennsylvania, and we want the Horn Farm Center to be a success story that shines a light on York County. So we ask you to stay tuned, and I appreciate your time today, share with you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Yes. So the question was, how many students do we run through the center annually? So our total visitation is about 5,000 visitors a year, but that includes our community events. So it's around 800 or so students that are coming for classes and programs. Yes. That's a good question. Thank you, Kelly. Kelly's question was, everyone wants to know if we're still doing the Pop-Pop Festival. The question was, what is our plan once construction starts to continue to host events? We are a tenacious bunch. I think that we will continue to try to host as many events as we can with construction still happening at the farm. Of course, we probably will need to make some adjustments as folks move in with the equipment and everything, and we'll have the area sort of blocked off. But we've really been able to continue and even grow our programs since the fire. And so I don't anticipate that will slow us down. Yes. That's a great question. So the question was, what is special about the Horn Farm that it was able to be saved by development and maybe not the case with some other farms? I feel like David Dietz, one of our founding members and current board members, could probably answer that question better than me, but I suspect it had to do just with the community. It really was up to the people in the community, the residents, that really felt passionate about wanting to preserve open space in Hellam Township. Would you agree, Dave?
Farm and the community really felt like this is an important sort of focal point and a decision point when the county was thinking of doing industrial uses with that land. Community really rallied to say, no, that's not what we want our community to be. We want to preserve this land. So it was sort of a unique situation because it was county farm.
Thank you.
You know, Alexis, the mission and community value of the Horn Farm is not lost on me. However, your theme of the program being around resilience kind of spoke to me. But to me, it's even more than that. It's perseverance, innovation, and dedication. That's what really comes to mind when I think of the Horn Farm under Alexis's leadership and how you turn tragedy into opportunity. I think this is a good reminder to all of us that even in our darkest hour, something better awaits us. Just don't ever give up. Alexis, thanks again for your presentation. On behalf of our club, we wish you the best of continued success. Alexis has signed the book plate called The Last Stop on Market Street by Matt De La Pena, and will be donated to the Devers Elementary School along with a bookmark made by the students at Creative York. I need to make a correction to the announcements. It was brought to my attention during the program that I failed to name Steve Merrick, who is also from RKL. Steve, raise your hand. There you go. Sorry, missed you there, Steve. It won't happen again because I don't know if you're going to get on the list again. But anyway, thank you for the great program. And here's what we have next week. We're going to hear from Megan Shue, head of the investment strategy and portfolio construction for M&T's Wilmington Trust. Megan is responsible for helping manage the end-to-end asset allocation process, developing market research, and communicating the investment team's market outlook and positioning to clients and prospective clients. Her presentation will examine the 2024 capital markets forecast, the U.S. economic exponentialism, and can the rain continue? The U.S. has typically been able to shake off its cyclical economic troubles and power forth into a fresh expansion. This time around, it may be more challenging to emerge victorious. Ooh. Having said that, have an amazing Rotarian week. This meeting is adjourned.
Still hot. You can turn that down.